Hi, everybody, and welcome to TGCS. My name is Tim Gallagher, and today we are going to be discussing topic 4.7 in AP Computer Science A, wrapper classes. And in this video, we'll discuss how to use methods of the integer and double wrapper classes to convert strings to numerical values. Let's get started. So if you recall in our last video, we created a class called college, and that had 16 instance variables, some strings, some doubles, some integers. And we also had a constructor that initialized all those 16 instance variables with parameters that we sent to our constructor when the objects were created. Now we had a program that read all of this data from a CSV file, and each institution had those 16 attributes that we wanted to use to create our college objects. So as we read each line of data, we used the method split on our string info to take each line of data and convert it into an array of strings called values, which it does. So here you'll recall the code where we have string array values is equal to info.split, and I sent it a comma. So each line of data was now broken up into an array of strings. There are 16 strings in that array, and I've stored the results of that in my string called values. Now, I want to now create local variables that I can use to construct my college object. But the problem is when I did that and I tried to create a college object, I got these errors. I got incompatible types because my local variables were not only strings, they were doubles and ints, but everything in my array is strings. So back to our program, here we have all of our local variables that we want to use to store the values from our CSV file. But these lines right here were causing problems because in order to store all of the values in an array, they all have to be the same type. So all of them are strings. I can't store strings in integers. I can't store the strings or assign them to double variables. So what should we do? Okay, let's talk about the wrapper classes. Now, these are two classes that are found on your Java Quick Reference Guide as well. And we have the integer class and the double class. And I want to pay particular attention to these two methods. The integer class has a method called parseInt, and the double class has a method called parseDouble. Now, these are static methods, so no object needs to be created or constructed in order to use these methods. We'll use that class.method format that we talked about in the last unit. Now, what do these methods do? Well, you'll notice in the descriptions, it returns a string argument as an int. So it takes whatever the string argument was and returns the integer equivalent of that. Or in the parseDouble method, it takes the string argument and returns the double. So back to our code here now. So here's the code that we had the problems with. What can we do to fix this code so that instead of trying to assign values bracket 0 directly to an integer or undergrad pop directly to an integer, can I use those methods to convert to numerical values? Here's the solution. So you'll notice we have integer.parseInt values 0, or integer.parseInt values 8, or double.parseDouble values 13. And what this does, it takes each of those string values in the array, converts them to either doubles or integers, and returns an int or a double. So now I can assign them to my local variables with the correct data type. I'm then going to construct a college object. And for now, let's add code so it just prints out that object. Remember, we had a toString method in the college class, so it'll print out the contents for each object, assuming that this doesn't crash. Let's try it. Hey, notice it worked, and I've got college information. There's the first ranked college, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Number 2, Stanford University, and it will keep going and print out all the other ones as well too. So this was a success. So in this video, we discussed how to use methods of the integer and double wrapper classes to convert our strings to numerical values. And this was important because the lines of data that I read from the file was broken up into strings, and I needed to use the correct data types when my college objects were constructed. All right, that's it for this video. Thanks so much for joining us here today. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and we'll see you next time. Take care.